So, in insane markets like this, I think it's more important than ever to step back and simplify your trading. So, as always, without ranting about this too much, one of the main benefits we have at Stats Trading is all of our trading is systematized. A robot comes along and says, buy this here, sell this here, and we just kind of listen to it, right? I spend most of my time looking for new strategies to build into the robot. I spend most of my times back testing these strategies. But when it comes to actually analyzing the market, that's still important. So I want to just show you how I've been keeping things simple and I think what can help you as well. And part of this is, how long do you want to go back and how long do you want to predict? So currently, everyone was getting very, very excited today because, right, the market gapped up, put in this crazy gap up from here to here. We're looking at the S&P 500, rallied up almost 7% off of this low just from Monday to now. Just insane, insane move. And looking at Twitter, looking at, the streets and seeing people getting too excited, I just want to make this video to say, let's make it simple, right? What's going to happen next in the market? Well, we have this bar right here, and this is the bar that again Trump stepped back on tariffs because bonds were collapsing. All of that we've talked about on the channel before, and you can see ever since then on April 9th, and it is currently April 23rd. We haven't been able to break the high of that bar. We haven't been able to break the low of that bar. When we get back up to that bar's high, we are selling off and rejecting from it. When we're coming back into the low of that bar, we're getting buyers that come back in. So my job is pretty simple. I'll go some of the trades that we took already this week, but my job becomes really, really simple here, where all I'm doing is I am watching that high, which 549.50, you can call it 550, all the way down to this low, and then the low, the all-time low or the crash low, we could call it at 480. And if we're inside this bar, I'm going to be buying dips, I'm going to be selling rips. That's what is currently working in this environment, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. For our trend following systems, ones that I like much better because they're about buying stocks that could double or triple or quadruple over time when we're trading with the trend, those have to wait because we're just not in the environment that makes a lot of sense right now. So today we had some Fed Treasury kind of guy out there talking, and he'd say a good thing, and the market would spike higher. Just look at this. Look at this intraday chart and zoom into the morning. A massive spike higher and then a sell off. And then this candle was just absolutely crazy. And we spent pretty much the entire morning doing nothing. And then he made one bad comment and we started to sell off. So instead of banging your head against the wall, looking and trying to figure out what's going to happen next in this market, just mm, take a look at what I did. You just simply mark the highs, you mark the lows, you watch those levels. If we're inside those levels, you have one modus operandi where you're just buying dips, selling rips. If it gets to the high, you're selling. If it gets to the low, you're buying. When one of those clear and clear in a significant way on a closing basis, then you kind of change the way you're doing things. So for me, again, if we clear this upper bounds, then I'm going to turn back on some of those trend following systems and see if we can get a sustained trend in some individual names. If we break the low here, it will be moving back to cash. So, just showing some of the things that we've already done this week. I talked about MDGL on the video already. We bought a little bit here in kind of the 480s or the 280s, and it spiked all the way up to 320s. Myself, we're supposed to hold this until Monday, and I'm trying to follow that. But some people in the room were already taking profits on what was a pretty good gain on that kind of 10% on a buy the dip, sell the rip type of thing. Same with names like Yum Brands, right? Another one we bought in this area about 397, and then in just a couple days, we're up 5-6%. And then you just take that and you just keep rolling it and you keep moving on, spending most of your time in cash so you're not worried about those. Again, and this will continue. I don't know if it's going to be a day, a week, a month. I don't know if we're going to be inside this range for a year. That certainly could happen. So, in the meantime, again, I'm seeing a lot of people getting very frustrated, trying to figure out what's to do in this market. I just implore everyone to keep your trading and your analysis simple. If you don't have a strategy with Tested Edge, come on over to statsedgetrading.com. We have one there for you. If you are someone who is just a discretionary trader and you're having a hard time, just consider setting alerts at both of those lines. And doing something else, right? Going for walks, do whatever it takes, get away from the market, come up, read some books, do review your trading. There's a lot of non-trading things that you can do to make yourself a better trader. When you get an alert that we have closed above one of those lines, it's time to take action again. Until then, inside this band, I think it's just going to be one of those where market makers who don't want the market to go anywhere but want to take a spread on every trade, market makers are going to make a whole lot of money. Individual traders, not so much. So, again, calm everything down, simplify it, pick some levels above those levels on a closing basis trade. Within those levels, don't. Another way to look at it here, too, is if you look at the weekly chart, we're inside this weekly bar, right? If you're a longer term trader or investor, well, you would want to see a new weekly highs or new weekly lows, and we're inside this weekly bar. So if you're one of those bar by bar traders, you could look at that as well and say, hey, we are inside a weekly bar. That means there is nothing for me to do. When we make an outside weekly bar and we start to move outside of this range, then maybe I get involved in some cool stuff. But again, save your physical capital, your actual money. That's very important. Also, save your mental capital and trade systematically over at statsedgetrading.com.